Hi, and welcome back to the Ravioli podcast. On this episode, I'll be helping you to get rid of a reading slump. I know that sometimes we can get stagnating on our reading schedule and our reading habits. For example, if you are in college and you are in exam season, sometimes you are overwhelmed with papers to read and articles, and you have no spare space in your brain just to read another thing just for pleasure, because at the end of the day, if you are not studying, you just want to watch a TV show or watch a movie or do other stuff that don't require a lot of attention. Or if you are already working, sometimes you have bad days and exhausting days, and we don't want to just read a book even if it's like a rom-com or something light. And when we just break this habit, like if we just skip 2 days of reading or something, then it can be really hard to get the habit again, because it's easier just like to be watching something else, or I don't want to pick up the book again, and like I don't even remember what I was reading, or I don't know. It can be so many reasons, but I'm just here to give you some tips on how to get rid of a reading slump. I've been reading since I know how to read, so I don't have a lot of reading slumps, but like I've been reading since I know how to read. So since I was like 7 years old, I'm now 22, and even though I had a few reading slumps, like some months that I just read 1 or 2 books, which for me it's like a little amount of books, but you just do what you do, like you do your thing. I've never like spent a year without reading, or some years that I was not reading and then I started reading again. I've never went through that, because I always remember that I'm reading like a book, even it's going to take me a month or it's going to take me a day. I always have a book that I'm reading, you know? And also, I think these tips are going to help people that also want to start reading. So it's not a reading slump, but people that want to implement the habit of reading on their routine, but they just don't know how. I think this can help them too. So I'm just going to go through my tips. The first one is pick shorter books, like maximum 200 pages, but if you are starting to read, maybe 100, 150 pages. And I have some recommendations of books that you can choose. I don't know if some are a little more than 200, but I'm going to recommend some books that are really like light. I've read them in English, so even for people that are listening to this episode but they are Portuguese and you want to try some English books, I'm also recommending this because they are easy to read, like the vocabulary, the path of the book. It's really like easy, light, soft. So my recommendations of books are the Sally Rooney Little Stories. I read Mr. Celery. It's like 100, it's not even 100 pages. I think it's like 50 or 70 pages. Then One of Us is Lying. I forgot to put some authors. I'm sorry, like I'm going to recommend books and authors because I think every book of the author that I've read, it's okay. So I'm just going to recommend it, the author, and not a specific book. For example, I'm going to recommend Emily Henry's books because I've read 3 so far, which was Beach Read, Book Lovers, and Happy Place. And each one of them were really easy to read. I didn't like Beach Read. I hate it. Like, it's not hate it, but it was nothing. It was nothing at all, nothing to just add to my life. But Book Lovers, I loved it, and Happy Place, I also loved it. I'm kind of in a dilemma if I prefer Book Lovers or Happy Place. I'm also recommending Rebecca Searle. I've read When Italian Summer, In 5 Years, and also The Dinner List. I think I only read 3 of hers, but I'm not sure, but they are really easy to read. I read When Italian Summer last year in summer. I was in an hotel with my parents, and I kid you not, like, it was so good. The book, I loved it. Like, I want to go to the Amalfi Coast because of that book, and then some others that I read after that were there too. And I know we watched a bunch of reels on Instagram that they are in the Amalfi Coast or in Capri or something. And I've been in Italy, but not in that area of Italy. We were having dinner at the hotel, like at hotel restaurant, and I couldn't put my book down. It was my Kobo, but still, like, I was reading on the phone because I have the app that connects with the books, but I was like, I can't hit. I have to read, only read, nothing to just nothing to distract me. I have to read this. The story was so beautiful. Also, Colleen Hoover's, I think every book is so easy. If some have more than 200 pages, of course, I think all of them have, but they are all so interesting stories. Like, they are not mindfuck stories, just 2 of them, I think, like Verity and It Ends With Us. I think they are mindfuck stories, but the other ones, they are not, like, they don't have a plot twist, whoa, but they are just so warming to read, and I think it's a good suggestion. Also, I read Love and Gelato, which is also in Italy, but it's like a book series. It's Love and Gelato, Love and Luck, and Love and Santorini. I don't know if it's Santorini, but I know it's there. Also, I recommend Days at the Morizaki Bookshop. I read that, and it's like less than 200 pages. It's not also a mindfuck story, but it's pretty, it's simple, straight to the point, fun. I also read the book Almond, which is about like a kid that doesn't feel emotions, like he doesn't feel fear, or he's never scared of anything, and that's really something. And he doesn't feel like also compassion for other people. I don't know if it's autism because they don't give like a name. I also recommend Women Don't Owe You Pretty. It's a book about feminism, but it has a lot of pictures and images throughout the book. I read it in Kobo and it was okay. It has so many good quotes and so many good point of views that you keep thinking about them. I took so many pictures of my Kobo because I wanted to save that in my phone, and I also share them in my Instagram. And lastly, I would recommend Hige. I know it's not spelled that way, but the book is called Hygge. It's a Danish book, I think. I think it's from Denmark, but I'm not sure again. Am I prepared for this episode? Sure, totally. But it's a book, it's not like a story, it's a facts book. Like, it's a book to help you develop the Hygge lifestyle, which is something really traditional in the northern countries, which is like companion friendships, like having cozy gatherings at your home, like a cozy dinner or a cozy like snack in the evening, just cooking cozy things. You get the vibe. Okay, I really liked, and I know there are other versions now. They are not called Hygge, but they are like in that vibe, so I have to read them when I can, when I finish my TBR. That it's endless. But another tip that I have to give you is pick only books that you know for certain you're gonna love. Don't read books that you are not excited about. I do that every time, so I'm not the perfect person to tell you about that, because I do read books that I'm not excited about because I force myself on challenges. Like I do YouTube videos and I'm like, oh, ChatGPT is going to pick my TBR, and then ChatGPT picks shitty books and I have to read them. This tip is only like if you already have the habit of reading and if you are just in a reading slump and you already know like what's your favorite genre, like if it's romance, if it's thrillers, psychological thrillers, terror, health books, non-fiction books, or you like fantasy, like you already know your genre. So just pick books. Like if you want to get rid of a reading slump, the first book you are going to pick to start reading again, it's going to be one that you know that for sure you are going to like because it's your favorite genre. So even if you don't really like the book itself, it's going to be something you are motivated for because you don't know if you are going to like the story or not in the beginning. I also have some recommendations, like pick your favorite genre, as I was saying, and also pick a book of your favorite author. For example, I was saying that so far I really like the Rebecca Searles book, so probably if I'm in a reading slump, next book I'm going to pick is one of hers books, or like probably I'm going to pick one of Colleen Hoover's books because I really like them. There are books that I like more than others from her, but still all of them I enjoy. So it's like a certain decision. It's like, it's something that I'm sure it's not going to be a fail. And then I cannot get out of my reading slump, and that's not what we want. Another tip is go on your Goodreads. If you don't have a Goodreads, it's an app. It's like a social media for bookworms and for book lovers. Like if you are a reader, you have to download Goodreads. This is not even paid. Like this is not a partnership. It's not publicity, but I have Goodreads, and last year I even did like a challenge, which I challenged myself to read 50 books, and I read 52 out of 50. So yeah, we completed. But this year I didn't put myself into the challenge because I just wanted to prove myself a point, and I like to read for pleasure. I like to read, because I like, not because I'm being forced, because if it's to be forced, I'm already forced in college. You can follow me on Goodreads. It's on my Linktree Instagram description. I'm also like updating what is my current read, what are the books I want to read next. And like when I finish, I always rate the book. So that's something you can also do. And I think that's also something that can help you getting out of a reading slump. My advice is for you to go on Goodreads and search for those two books, because this is a pattern for me. I don't know. Of course, it's not like worldwide knowledge, and it's for sure, it's not like a theory, but for me, it's kind of a pattern. Like if a book has less than 4 stars average on Goodreads, I'm not going to enjoy it a lot. So only read books if you want to get out of a reading slump. Of course, this is like the topic of this episode. Only read books that are rated from 4 stars or more on Goodreads. You see the rating, but you don't go through the reviews and the feedback from others before finishing the book. That's something that's like a mistake that I've done over and over, and it's not good. Like I start just reading other people's reviews, and I'm not even talking about spoilers, because they always like have a disclaimer if they have a spoiler, but I've always like, oh, now I'm not going to like it, or I'm going to have like a biased point of view when I start a book, and we don't want that. We want to like go to the book with an open mindset, with no information previously. The next tip is get a reading buddy, because like when you have someone that you are always like updating her or him on your current reads, what you want to read next, you share like your point of views of the book you are currently reading, or when you finish, what did you think about the book. It's someone that's like that helps motivate you to keep reading and to get out of your reading slump, because you are sharing with the other person, but she's also, or he is also sharing what they are reading at the moment. For example, you are in a reading slump, but your reading buddy keeps reading books. You feel like the need, oh, I have to keep up with her or with him just to don't be left behind. I really want to find a reading buddy because I don't have one. Like, I've tried to convince my boyfriend to read books, even if they are not my type of books, doesn't matter. I've landed some books that I've read about, like, for example, the Factfulness book. I landed him, like, try to read it. But, I cannot force anyone to read, and it's not my place, and it's not my task to force anyone. As I said on the episode I did in collaboration with Mars Books, like, no one has to read books to get knowledge. Reading is something that you fall for, and it's like a passion, because you can get knowledge from documentaries, TV shows, movies, podcasts. You don't have to specifically be reading, and I'm not reading all the time because I want to get knowledge. It's something that I do for leisure, because I like to imagine. I like the entire and the full experience of reading in itself. So I'm not here like giving you tips to get rid of a reading slump because I want to force you to read. No, if you are already a reader and you just don't have that habit anymore, or if you are in a period of your life that you are feeling lazy to read because other things are happening, I'm just here to help you in that matter, but I'm not here to force anyone, of course. So I also want to get a reading buddy because I don't have one. And if you are listening to this and you like to read books as much as I do, and you are also searching for a reading buddy, hit me up, because I'm like, honestly, I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart. I want, even though I don't find really hard to read books, I don't go through a lot of reading slumps, but sometimes I do. I like to keep motivating with other people, and I really like to share my thoughts on books. And I sometimes do that with my parents, and they are just like, we don't care, okay? Because we don't even know what you're talking about. You are just rambling things. Next tip is plan small reading schedules during your day. For example, I've said many times here that my favorite time for reading is in the evening before dinner, like at 7, like 6, 7, 8. Those are the hours I feel I'm more productive in terms of reading, because I'm not getting sleepy. Like, of course, before bedtime I'm already sleepy, so sometimes I read to help me like fall asleep more like softly and like without anxiety or something, because I don't find hard to sleep, but sometimes I'm like, I don't want to sleep. So just plan small reading sessions during the day. For example, 10 minutes before bedtime, 10 minutes before you close your eyes, read a book. 10 minutes in the morning, like right away you wake up in the morning, and in 10 minutes, the minutes you would be like on your phone or something, you just read your book. In 10 minutes, you can read either 10 pages or 20 pages or less, but you don't plan the amount of pages, you just plan the time. When you finish those 10 minutes, you close the book and you start your morning routine. You go to work, you go to college, you stay at home, because I don't know what you do, but I'm just giving an example. Or you can also plan the pages you are going to read for a day, like 10 pages per day, either in the morning, either in the afternoon, either in the evening, or like spared in the day. Like you can read 10 pages per day, so you decide to read 5 in the morning and 5 before your bedtime. I don't know, but just small challenges and small commitments, because if you plan like, okay, I'm going to read 50 pages per day, no, you're not, because there are days that feel they have like 24 hours, and there are days that feel that they have 48 hours and you don't have even a minute to sit down. So you are not going to read 50 pages because that's not a reasonable average to read every day. So you just commit yourself to read 10 pages, and that's going to work. I barely have done this for books that I want to read, but I've done this for books for college and high school and whatever, because I didn't want to read them. Like, I was not interested at all, but I had to. So I just said to myself, okay, I'm going to start reading a month before my other classmates start, but I'm going to read 10 pages, which is not a lot. And then I remember that 1 week before we had to like do a presentation on there were people like doing night reading sessions, like almost not sleeping because they had to read the book. And I was reading like 10 pages a month before, so I was like keeping up to the schedule. Or if you are like in a reading slump, but you are a fast reader and you are like, you read like a lot of books per month, but you are in a reading slump, just commit yourself to read 1 book per week. 1 book per week for people that read like 10 to 14 books per month is nothing. So you just have to do these small challenges and commitments, considering what do you already do. Like, if you are a vivid reader or not, you know your background, you know yourself. So I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just giving you examples, and that works for me too. Another tip is choose and decorate a reading corner at home. I've always wanted to do this and I've never done it, because when I starting having this feeling, I was not at home. I was already like living in another city for the master. Half of the week I was living in another city for the master. So I was like, I'm going to decorate the room now. I'm not even the entire week there. And then I started like studying and seeing and like assessing my future options of career. And I was like, I will probably not be home forever. So I'm not going to spend money to decorate like a reading corner of my bedroom, and then just in 3 months I have used it like 5 times and then I'm not there anymore. So that's why I've never did it, but I'm sure that I want to do that when I have like a stable home or something. If you still live at your parents' home, or if you already have your own home, or if you don't mind spending money, because even though I've never done that, I do some things to feel more comfy when I'm reading. So first I'm going to go through the decorating reading corner. Like, I think it's really cute. I have some ideas in my mind. You can buy a comfy chair, which is like an armchair but a little one. It's not a sofa, but it's not also a wood chair. It's a little comfy armchair, like in beige or black, but in neutral colors I like. But you can also buy in pink, of course. I'm just picturing my perfect reading corner with a blanket, like a comfy blanket, probably close to a window so you can see the traffic or just the movement in your street. That's my ideal reading corner. But since I don't have one, I usually pick spots at where I am, even if I'm at my hometown or if I'm here in my new bedroom, or if I'm in an hotel, if I'm traveling. I usually listen to music, because even though in the past I was really skeptical about like listening to music while reading, sometimes I find it's better, because when there's too much noise outside, it's better for concentrating. And sometimes I just put music without noise. It's just to get into the vibe of the book. It's whole experience. And on Spotify, you can now find a lot of playlists of the book you are reading. Not all the books are there, of course, but the major ones, like the ones that are famous on TikTok or Bookstagram or BookTube, they they have playlists on Spotify, and you can just put a shuffle playlist and just be vibing. Another tip is to romanticize your reading routine. As I was talking about the Goodreads app, I think that's something that really helps, is like if you keep updating. I'm not saying you have to be like a influencer wannabe or you have to share all your books, but if you have like a Goodreads account and you just keep updating, okay, I'm now starting this book, so I'm going to put on Goodreads that it's my current reading. And then when I finish, okay, I'm going to put that it's read and I'm going to rate it now. Also on Goodreads you can do so much more other stuff, like you can be updating how much pages you are on the book. Like you start the book today and tomorrow you go on Goodreads and you say, okay, I'm on page 200, you know. I never do that because that's so much work. I don't have the patience. I just mark when I start a book and then when I finish and then I rate it. That are the three things that I do on Goodreads. I don't put likes on other people's updates, or I don't comment. I don't give reviews on Goodreads, but I read others people's reviews, so I hope people keep commenting on books. So I think romanticizing your reading routine can go from that. Look for cute bookmarkers. If you have some at home, like I usually try to pick a bookmarker that goes with the cover of the book. If I'm not reading at Kobo, I need a bookmarker. So if it's a book with the cover, it's like pink, I go, for example, with a red bookmarker or something, that I think it's stylish. Also, I did some bookmarkers. I did a giveaway on bookmarkers. You can DIY some bookmarkers as I did, like even though it's not DIY in terms of cutting a piece of newspaper and making it a bookmarker. I designed them on the computer, then I printed them, then I put some plastic over it so it doesn't break. But you can DIY, bookmarkers from previous ones or do new ones as I did. And I think that keeps you motivated, because if you invest on the accessories to read or something, it's like working out. I know it's another topic, but when you just buy cute clothes for working out, or you just take pictures like today's workout done, you keep motivating yourself and probably others. Also, you can post on your Insta stories when you end your reading session. For example, you start a reading session and then 1 hour later you end it and you post a picture of the book open in your like legs or something. Or you can post Insta stories when you finish a book and rate them in the Insta story so other people can see if they are thinking on reading that one. They might change their opinion or not. And then just take notes and underline quotes throughout the book. There's a whole community of book talkers and booktubers and bookstagrams that underline and do like annotation in books with like specific book highlighters or like pens or something. I personally don't like it. I've never annotated in books, and if I do, like for school or something, it's always in pencil. I just take photos of the quotes I like. If I'm reading in Kobo, I can save the quotes on the gadget, but if I'm reading like a physical book, I just take pictures of the quotes, or I just put it on my iPhone notes, but I don't underline because I don't like personally. But I understand that can motivate other people to get out of a reading slump because you just do other stuff besides reading. This is not a tip. Okay, so my tips have ended, but this is like a disclaimer. Like, I know disclaimers are given in the beginning of the episodes, but whatever. Don't pressure yourself, because even booktubers, book talkers, and bookstagrammers go through reading slumps. And even though I'm not one, because I don't consider myself anything yet, I'm just someone that likes to share some things about her life and some tips and experiences. I follow some of these bookworm influencers, and for example, I have also talked this about on the episode with Mars Books, like Destiny Sidwell, which is one of the booktubers, like the most famous booktubers. It's not the most, but it's one of the most famous. She has a podcast now with Sarah Caroli. She has a podcast of her own, but she has one with another booktuber. And she was saying like, in May I've read like 4 books, and I remember that on the like in the middle of May she had only read 1 book, and she was like kind of overwhelmed because she hadn't had any content for YouTube, like for YouTube videos, because she only read 1 book. And so there are some booktubers that are open about these reading slumps and not being motivated at the moment. So if if it's their job and still they cannot make it, of course, if you it's not your main thing on the day, because you cannot be reading all the time, you have other work to do, you have other stuff to study. Even if they can't make it and it's what they are getting paid of, like imagine yourself, which is not your main worry, because it cannot be, because it's not paying you anything. And I know reading can be so rewarding, like I find reading so pleasant, but sometimes I'm reading books that I really don't like I don't feel anything for them. I think they are just being a waste of time, and I still don't have like a clear response to that. I don't know if we should like just stop those books because we cannot waste time, or we just finish them. I don't have like a clear answer. I hope you get rid of your reading slump, because if I was in one, I would be pissed. Okay, but also just take your time. I'm just helping you if you feel that you want to get out of that reading slump. But if you are in one, but you also don't want to get rid of the reading slump because it's not what you are looking for now, it's okay. Unlike other people, books are always here for us. So that's my main mantra for reading. I love talking to you guys, and we'll talk next week. Bye.